Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by The Old Ways Actual Play Team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game, Rules by Chaosium. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try hard to stick to reasonable languages for all ages, listeners should know that this is a podcast that may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., may bear resemblance to persons living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. So, I suppose introductions are in order, right?
Well, I'll start here. This is Lonnie. Tonight I'll be playing Lawrence Edward Oliver Forza, a civil engineer based out of Chicago, who is in a spot of trouble.
Are you? What kind of trouble might you be in?
Well, I've got this strange man grinning evilly at me, but besides that, I've been, I'm under suspicion of murder.
Oh my.
And
that sounds terrible.
Bye.
At the moment, I'm currently trudging across a field to a hole in the ground in the back of a meatpacking facility, and that's just, I don't know. I don't know.
Very good. And then across from me.
It's Jake. I'm playing Jack Doyle, private investigator. Hard smoking, hard drinking, hard living.
You're just hard.
Hard. I'm a hard man.
Wow. All right. And then finally,
Tiffany, and I'm playing Maeve O'Shea, who is, I don't know, an occultist and is finding more and more out about her family.
you do have an interesting family.
I do.
You're also a cabaret singer, aren't you?
Speakeasy singer.
Speakeasy singer.
She does sing when she gets the chance, yes.
What's the
Sadly,
difference between a speakeasy and a cabaret?
I don't know what
Alcohol.
sounds classier than the other.
I think a
Alcohol.
cabaret is traditionally a group of people. And when she goes on stage and sings, it's more solo. She's more of a solo artist, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I suppose.
I don't know.
So yes, the group of you are trudging across this muddy, kind of trashy, I guess is the best term. Mostly because a lot of the trash that gets taken out from the back of the yards neighborhood in Chicago, a lot of the trash ends up here. People, unfortunately, are not very, not as sanitary as they are nowadays, and so a lot of the garbage and mud and refuse ends up in the back of the yards neighborhood, the area between the neighborhood and the actual yards proper. So when we think about where the characters are at tonight, I want you to envision the fact that they are trudging across this very long and wide mud field that separates a rundown back of the yards neighborhood from basically a massive animal stock pen and killing field, which is really what the stockyards was. Above you, a clouded sky obscures partial moonlit, so you have a little bit of light to see. And you're all probably a little bit, at least Mr. Forsyth is, I know, a little bit weighed down by some of the
Implements I'm carrying?
a bit of the equipment you've decided to take with you this evening.
Well, considering you decided to bring a whole arsenal.
I didn't bring a whole arsenal.
You kind of did.
That's okay.
Most of it fits in the pockets. It's fine.
How many pockets do you have?
I have a lot of pockets.
Did Rob
right?
Liefeld draw you?
I can afford a lot of pockets, young lady.
All right. And that's, pockets are fine. Let's not get into Rob Liefeld.
Please.
So what I'd like you guys to do is tell me how you're going to approach the building. Now, for those of you who are remembering from last session, the characters had the opportunity to take a look from the Holden house, from the back of the yards neighborhood, and they looked out over the muddy field and saw a light, a dim light in one of these buildings. Mm-hmm. How are you approaching?
Well, I would hope in our time spent observing, trying to find the light, we also saw if anyone was, for example, patrolling the grounds or moving between areas of this, because the building itself looks to have been recently burned and then work done to it to make it habitable again, I guess.
From what you could see, yes. As far as whether or not someone's patrolling or not, nobody really yet has decided to stop and really give a look whether or not someone's patrolling.
Okay.
So if that's something that the characters or you, Mr. Forsyth, collectively decide to do, then feel free to make me a spot hidden roll.
Sure. And
let's determine whether or not what you may find.
So I rolled a 38. I have a 34. I'm going to spend 4 luck on this.
Spend 4 luck.
I am rapidly running out.
Ah, yes. That's a wonderful thought. No, I mean, sorry.
No, it's fine. So yes, 34.
So a success. What you see, if you kind of take a half step, you slow your pace a bit, and you look out over the pen rails and the border fencing,
mm-hmm.
and then the subsequent the actual railroad tracks.
Yeah.
That you'd see, and you do see that there are several people moving about, but it doesn't appear as if anybody is patrolling per se. What it seems like people are doing is they're working,
mm-hmm.
and they're moving cattle from one pen to another, or a bit off to your left, and say across the yard more towards the processing area. You do see that one of the night trains has arrived, and they're unloading some of the animals from it.
Ah.
But as far as someone directly patrolling where you guys are headed to, it doesn't look like it.
Well, although it might be a mistake, I will put the shotgun back in my trunk before we leave. I want nothing that looks out of the ordinary, and I have a place to put my revolver and the knife and the brass knuckles in my jacket, coat, whatever you care to call it. But I think the shotgun would be a little bit suspicious and out of place here, so I will put that.
Okay. You kind of make a few adjustments and hide up the shotgun a little bit to make sure, at least if someone were to make a cursory glance over or be within visual distance of you, they're not going to immediately recognize you're carrying a shotgun.
Right.
That makes sense. So are the three of you going to continue to proceed toward the building?
Yes.
Okay. All right, the building itself is little more than a series of collective shacks. It looks like it's been built on top of one another. It looks like for the most part, just as you guys are kind of standing outside of it, it looks like for the most part the building's made of just regular lumber. There doesn't seem to be much to it. It's an average sized building. You'd say maybe just if you did a cursory glance over it, you'd say maybe the building's maybe 25 by 15. It doesn't seem very big.
So barely bigger than equipment sheds, really. Maybe a little bit bigger, but not
maybe
a lot.
Maybe a bit bigger than an equipment shed. This looks like, honestly, maybe a small house. Like a tiny,
right,
little cottage or shack or whatnot. There doesn't seem to be much to it. It lacks any lights.
Right.
So there's no oil lamps here that you readily see, minus the one you see as you walk up. But that seems to be more because of the boarded up windows have a bit of a slit in them.
Mm-hmm.
The ball is in your court, Mr. Doyle.
Try a door.
You're going to try to find a door?
Yeah.
Okay. You take a look around. If you walk from where you guys are at, if you go left and then hook right, you end up getting towards the front of the building. And at the front of the building, you can see that there's a definite boarded up door.
Boarded up door.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the shack the light came from.
Right.
Does that appear to be the only entrance?
At the moment.
We'll go check it out.
Okay. You walk up here. There's not much of a porch per se. It's really just a single stone step, and then the door, and then the boards. You're gonna inspect them.
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you give me anybody inspecting the door? Go ahead and give me a spot hidden roll.
I don't know anything about this kind of thing, so I probably wouldn't be looking too close.
Actually, I'm not going to be looking at the door. I'm going to be looking at the step, the porch.
I'm gonna have my back to them, looking out.
I got a hard.
You and that hard. Okay. Do you want to give me a spot hidden roll, maybe just to make sure nobody sneaks up on you, or if you're paying attention,
Yeah,
you're
that's what I'm
patrolling
trying
or
to do.
visually patrolling anyway. If you're keeping watch,
She's on Overwatch.
not the game.
So
No,
it's
no.
spot hidden,
Well, she
right?
might be. I don't know.
It
A lot
is
of
spot hidden.
females play that game.
Oh, that is a negative. I see
Okay.
nothing.
Mr. Doyle, you inspect the door a little bit, and you realize that the boards on them are purely for show. It's interesting because while the door looks boarded up, it looks as if someone drove small, kind of one-by-one pieces of board onto the door first, and then nailed larger 2x4s to them to make it appear as if the building was abandoned.
Well then.
And after a little further inspection, you see that one of those boards near the right-hand side of the door just moves pretty much effortlessly, and behind it there's an actual lock for the door.
Is it locked?
It is right now.
Okay, well, we'll see what we can do about that.
It won't be for long.
Again, how many days in a row have I broke it into?
Jack Doyle
I think
was
every
here.
day.
You gotta stop leaving those plaques on every lock you pick.
Yeah, I made it.
Okay. So you kind of take your pick set out and move it back and forth throughout the lock and push the tumblers up one side and then down the other and just fiddle with it for a good minute or so. And the lock gives way. And then it's good to come off.
All right. I cracked the door.
Okay. And crack the door. Inside, at least visually, you guys have torches, so
Yes.
you have the electric torches,
Yes,
as it were.
I brought my hand torch. Yes.
Readily, what you see it isn't actually so much what you see. The musty air of this room is a punch in the face when you open this door. There is a definite, strong smell in this room. You see dust and dried mud that peppers the wood floor. It looks like it's a small, just relatively small room you're in. There's a couple of rickety chairs and a little kind of cobbled together table. Whatever the room is used for, its time seems to have passed. Along the far wall, a heavy door sits nailed to the structure, and there's definitely a smell in the air. Mr. Forsyth, it reminds you immediately of the pump house.
Ooh. Yeah, I've smelled that. And it's just in the air.
A bit, yeah.
It smells like sulfur.
It does.
Yum-o.
Do I see any water any water spigots? Any sink?
No. There's literally a couple of chairs that are seemingly sat next to one another.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be sitting around this table as well. And the footprints make you think that somebody at one point sat at this table and did something.
Mm-hmm. Nothing on the floor, like markings, like at the apartment that we checked out.
No, nothing like at the apartment. This is more looks like workman boots.
Oh, okay.
It reminds you more of like your canal days.
Yeah.
Like maybe a couple of guys came in here and played cards. But those footprints lead out this door and then back in through that door that seems to be nailed shut.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we're going to go to that door.
Okay.
Because, of course we are.
But of course you are. So, you head over to the door?
Yes.
There it is. Yeah, pretty solid door. This one seems to actually be nailed down.
How big is this building?
Just as a rough estimate, again, about 25 by maybe 15 or 20. This room that you're standing in is far smaller than the entirety of the structure. So as soon as you walk in here, you being somebody who's an architect and who has done building, you know instantly there's got to be more to this place.
Right.
Because it doesn't make any sense.
So the door's been nailed shut, huh?
It seems that way.
Fortunately, I have a crowbar.
You do. Are you going to work on that?
Before we do that, let's look around the room.
Well, yeah.
See
Sure.
if there's another way in, because
Would you like to search the room?
yes.
I will look as well.
Oh, sure.
Engineering?
Nope.
Go ahead.
I did spot
Let's see.
hidden. No.
Just regulars to say.
Nope.
Mr. Forsyth, you don't see anything out of whack other than what you've already noticed. The fact that the building, the room you're standing in, is nowhere near the total structure of the total area that the floor could be.
Right.
Mr. Doyle, what you notice is this door, which is nailed down, seems to have been done with some purpose. And after a close inspection, what you realize is 4 or 5 of the nails, especially at the top of the door, they have been moved in and out before. So it looks like someone either used a crowbar or some kind of hook axe, and they have pulled the door open and probably closed it several times and then re-nailed it. So there is some looseness at the top.
All right. Get that crowbar.
Yep. Okay, crowbar.
Give me a relatively simple strength roll.
That would be con or strength.
Strength, yeah.
Okay. I have missed every roll so far tonight.
Bodes well.
Yes.
You yank at it a bit. It just seems like maybe one or two of these nails is just in a little too tight.
I hand the crowbar to Mr. Doyle.
Okay.
You wrench a bit, and the door then comes open.
I'm afraid I've gotten soft in my old age, Mr. Doyle.
Well, it happens to the best of us.
Are you proceeding?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And
So-
I am pulling my revolver.
I think that's a good idea.
With
I already had my knife out.
Okay. With the wood removed, you can see the chamber attached has been made up of a ramshackle bedroom, complete with bed, end table, and a lone chair. Dried mud and specks of dirt wander in from the doorway you stand at to the next odd-angled archway leading to the next room. So, when you walk in, or when you open this door up to the space beyond, the room is really at a diagonal. it almost it takes your brain a second to realize what the heck's going on. You're initially very confused.
Yes.
Because the wall that is in front of you directly is at a 45-degree angle. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
That makes no sense.
And it naturally draws your eyes to what the hell is left, which is where you see the bed, the chair, the end table, and then the muddy footprints lead from the door you're standing at to the next doorway.
Okay.
Mr. Doyle has his revolver out. I'm going to take and put my revolver back for the moment.
Okay.
I want to go examine the bed and the chest.
The bed and the end table.
Near the end table, yeah.
Yeah, there's no chest.
Do I see any of the same symbols like we saw in the apartment or anything? Like on the floor?
You have not seen a single mystical or occultic symbol yet.
Okay.
The mud on the floor, does it look relatively fresh?
Given your background, probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
Okay. I mean, it would be strange if it was, because the door was locked. The outer door was locked, so. But, on the other hand, there may be a second entrance into this building that I don't know anything about.
You go over and check out the bed and the end table.
Yeah.
There is a scrap of paper on the end table.
Okay, what is it?
It's there's a note.
Okay.
It says, "Another failure. This will not stand. The dread must rise."
I hand it to Miss O'Shea.
Mm-hmm.
The dread.
That could just be referring to the anxiety, the insanity. I mean, there's like nothing weird about the handwriting or anything about the ledger.
No. The handwriting is consistent with handwriting you've seen before. This is several weeks old. This is not fresh at all.
Is it handwriting from the apartment? What's his name's? Why did I blink on his name?
Swift.
Yes, Mr. Swift's apartment.
It seems to be consistent.
Okay.
Jake, what is Mr. Doyle doing?
Checking out the rest of the room.
Okay.
Exits, yeah.
Yeah, there's an archway right there.
I will check out the archway. Look through.
The archway leads to another area, right? You see 5 wooden barrels that sit against the far wall in that area. They're relatively close to you, all things considered. They're probably no more than 5 or so feet. They're complete with, there's some, like, your electric torch kind of goes over them a bit, and you see a strange, almost fetid fluid that sits on the top of them. You start getting this acrid taste in your mouth. And it kind of creeps its way down your throat until it makes a home and the top of your chest. And you cough.
I'll pull back from the archway.
Okay. You two have resolved your paper exchange by now?
Yeah, so I'll go over there and look.
Careful.
Is that what's causing the smell?
You're not entirely sure. You do see quite a swarm of gnats.
Oh.
Yum. Awesome. Okay.
They seem to collect in clouds and cling to the lips of the barrels, making their own fetid home.
Does it look like... Are the Are there no tops on the barrels and there's like liquid in them?
Correct.
Okay.
There are no tops in the barrels, and there are liquids in them. And on top of that liquid, you can tell that there are chunks of something in it.
Awesome.
I'm not entirely sure what.
I have a good guess what. Some kind of flesh.
Chunks of awesome. Okay.
And then beyond the barrels to the left of them, you see yet another door. And this specific area here, this room, is actually made of masonry bricks. So when you step beyond the archway, when you look beyond the archway from where you guys are standing at, you look into a room that has a brick wall.
And we didn't see any bricks on the outside, though, right?
You did not, nope.
Okay.
Using my engineering, how much more of this space do we have?
Quite possibly just a little bit. You should be close to, by your guess, mental guess, you should be close to one of the, you should be getting close to the Red Lantern at some point. Because you're moving directly in that direction.
Yeah, we haven't seen the Red Lantern
You
yet.
have not yet, nope.
No, there are windows?
You have not seen a single window. There are windows on the outside of the building. You approached and you saw the boarded up windows, but you have not seen any windows inside yet.
That's interesting. All right, well, I'll cover my
that is
face with
interesting.
handkerchief
Okay.
and go to the next door.
You have to get fairly close to the barrels because there's not a whole lot of space. The room you were in with the bedroom, its walls come to a point.
Mm-hmm.
And the barrels, as you move through that archway, the barrels are basically within 5 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to kind of skirt the barrel area, right?
Okay.
Not that any of you are at risk of slipping and falling into anything, but you are going to have to get relatively close to them.
Ugh. Okay. Excellent.
And it's going to be a con roll to get through that.
Will I be the one to hurl?
I only hope so.
I
Yep.
can hurl.
20 out of 80.
Yeah, you are fine. You have seen worse things before.
Yes.
59 from out of 50.
Uh,
So I failed by 9.
wonderful.
Yes.
Add to a barrel.
Yeah, you do your best to walk past, and all you can think about inside your head is, don't look, don't look, don't look, don't look, don't look. And you reach for the wall behind you to give you some sort of guide to getting beyond this nastiness. And you feel something slick on the wall behind you, and you freak out a little bit, and you pull your hand back, and you have to get your bearings. So you're forced to open your eyes, and when you look down into one of those barrels, you see fetid flesh and some type of glazed eyeball. And it does not sit well with you. And then you try to hold it together. So the first thing you do is you breathe in to get control of yourself. And when you breathe in all sorts of nastiness. And it makes a real nasty mess on the floor when it comes out of you.
Awesome.
Well, at least nobody really noticed. I mean,
I steadier.
Okay. You get through into the open space that goes beyond it, and you take a moment, Miss O'Shea, and you kind of recover a little bit.
Yeah.
Recover a little bit. This space is actually quite open beyond here in comparison to the place that you were.
Right.
It's quite open. There is a door here. And the door is, fairly sturdy made wood door. Not boarded up in any way. What's the plan?
go through the door.
Okay.
I will pull out my machete first.
You can grab the door handle and...
I don't think I want to make noise here.
It's a fair assessment.
I think at this point, if we make any noise, it's well beyond worrying about somebody hearing us.
You grab the door handle and you turn. Who's actually opening the door? Mr. Joel, you're opening the door?
Yes.
I'm like staying behind because I don't have any guns.
The door opens, heavy wooden door, brass hinges, gives a long, slow creak. In the space beyond, again, the wall in front of you shifts at a strange angle. To the left, you see at your feet, you see a pool of fluid. It's on the floor. It's rather thin, but it definitely coats the floor here. Beyond that, you see something you're very surprised to see. You see an upright, in relatively good working condition, phonograph.
Get him with that phonograph.
The door beyond the door you've just walked through, because there is another door, it's already open.
Is there anything beyond that door, like you see from here?
Not that you can see from here. More mud. More mud for sure.
Does it smell like it's getting better?
Not exactly.
Oh, okay.
I mean, your senses are away from the immediate barrels, but it has not improved greatly.
It's a close place. Undoubtedly, it's had people in it. Undoubtedly, those people haven't had much contact with running water.
So what's this liquid on the ground? I crouched down to get a better look at it. It seems to be a bit of a mixture. Just visually looking at it, you would say that there's oil in it, because you can see it on top of the water. Some of this is obviously water-based. There's definitely an oil on top of it. And then you're not sure if the bits that are in it are based off of the mud that's also in this area, or if it's part of what was in the barrels back there. You're not quite sure, but it does seem as if this fluid has pooled here and has not drained away. It hasn't seeped into the wood. It has stayed on top. And you knowing a bit about investigative work, if water spills on, a wood or even concrete floor, eventually it's going to evaporate. Right.
This hasn't evaporated.
Well, obviously it's not water. Or
at least not entirely.
Yeah.
How tall is the room?
It's probably a good standard 10 to 11 feet size.
Okay. So it's not like something's hanging up there that's dripping onto this.
Put your torch up in there.
Yeah.
Look around.
Nothing?
No, the ceiling looks relatively intact and...
No cracks, no...
Is this just an empty room?
Other than the phonograph? Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go to the phonograph.
Okay.
What's the name of the record?
You take a look at the record itself. It's a black disc, just like any other record would be. But this one does not have a stamp on it from a recording studio.
Interesting.
In fact, there's an awful lot of strange etching marks on this record. They seem to almost be inlaid with the record itself.
Like it was part of the pressing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I call Miss O'Shea over, and I say, "Do you see these?"
Can I
Play
tell?
my torch on the symbols.
Can I tell what they are?
Well, you have a couple of skills that might be useful.
Mm-hmm. I do.
The question is, which skill would you like to use? One skill is probably a lot easier than the other.
Yeah. Because the one I only have one in.
That's correct.
So I guess I'll use occult and lean on the research I've done.
Very good.
44, and I have a 75.
Okay. Several of the symbols seem occultic in nature. You've never seen them pressed into a record before. You don't know why someone would. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, because wouldn't it mess up how it would play? Or is it in the center pieces where they're pressed in?
No, actually, these symbols are pressed into the actual places where the needle would make contact with the record.
Okay.
But they seem to be done in such a way where they at least don't appear. You haven't inspected them by hand per se, but they don't appear to deviate from the height of the actual record itself. Stay with us, Lonnie.
I'm with you.
All right.
So, alright. But they don't look like any of the symbols from any of the other papers or...
Well, you're going to take the other papers out and compare them, or
Yeah, if we got... I mean, if I can.
you could always...
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to stop you.
No, I'm not stopping it.
Yeah.
That's not very
I saw those.
Yes, I
things.
will pull them out.
You pull out your several pieces of, hideous paper.
Yes, my scary
Your
papers.
scary paper is out. You begin comparing them, roughly speaking. Now I would like you to make another skill roll.
The other one?
Yep.
That I
And
want-
because you have the hideous paper out in front of you, I'm going to give you a 15% bonus temporarily, just for a roll, to this roll.
Okay. Sweet. Nope. 58.
Okay. So it looks like maybe some of the symbols are similar, but it's hard to lock down which ones, because you don't know which, because it's a record.
Right.
You don't know which way to look at the symbols from.
And which way to read it or
Right.
where it starts. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
But there's definitely some strange symbols on that record.
No, we should take the record.
Okay.
You can listen to it later in the comfort of your own home. Without me around.
Unfortunately, there is no real way to protect it right now. So,
I mean, I
You
have
being
my
a bit of a-
bag, but
yeah, you being a bit of an archivist, though,
yeah, I have nothing to put it in to stop it from getting bent or anything.
Right.
Well, it wouldn't get bent. A record of that era is about that thick and made of vinyl. It's very tough.
Well, we'll see what we can find. Maybe we can find something to wrap it in.
Or grab it on the way out if we're not running for our
Hey,
lives.
there's probably a bed sheet back there on that bed.
Oh,
Wrap it in.
yeah.
That means you have to go back to that room.
Or you could do it for me.
Right. Yeah. Why don't we just keep on going? We'll come back to this.
okay. Are you going to continue to proceed on then?
Yep.
Okay. You go through the doorway, which is already open, and you head into the next area. 2 tables sit along the wall of this thin chamber. On the tables, assorted tools common to the meatpacking industry await your eyes. Saws, hooks, knives, metal pins, each one showing a history of use in a ghastly fashion. There are still pieces on these tools. They have been used. At some point, someone cared for these tools because they are not rusty. They are well kept. This area isn't so much a room as it is a wall which forces you back to the right. So as you've been making your way through this location, you've been mostly going to the left through most of these doors. And now you're being forced back right. In this room to the right, beyond the table, you can see a dim glow from some sort of lamp.
I go through.
Okay, you go through.
Guess all that's on that table.
Yeah, there's also a wash basin, which looks like it doesn't have any water in it. But there's tools and a wash basin.
Okay.
There's also heavy foot traffic here. As you go to the right, the wall ends where the basin and the table were set against. The wall ends and you see the light. There's the lamp.
And there's the window.
Yep.
The only window we've seen, correct?
Well, the only window, yes, you've seen, but now both sides of. This area back right is much larger. As you look back right, even with the electric torches, you see that it goes quite a ways. Probably to the far wall that you walked along to get into the building.
Okay. What else is in the room besides the lamp?
Well, the muddy path here rounds a relatively sharp corner, coming to a stop just outside a thick wooden cellar door laid on the shack's wooden foundation. In the opposite corner, a series of iron bands have been bolted to the wall, and tucked away in the sharpest corner of the space lay a boarded-up window opposite a tinted red oil lamp.
Bolts in the wall to hang people?
I mean, that's possible. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
I mean, animals, it would be hooks.
You are correct.
And there's a big cellar door.
There is also, under those hooks, or under those bands that you see on that one wall,
Right.
there is fluid below them.
Is it the same kind of fluid as in the puddle?
Same puddle type fluid that you saw earlier in the phonograph room is under those bands. There is also a heavy smell in this room of that same sulfurous tone in the air.
Well, this is just doesn't get creepy at all, does it? All right.
It's like we're in the business of creepy.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to these cellar doors.
Do they appear sealed?
Well, are you going to investigate them?
Yes.
So please, investigate. How are you going to investigate them first? Before anybody rolls anything, how will you investigate them?
I assume I see muddy tracks lead up to them.
Yes, sir, you do.
I see a lot of muddy tracks. As a matter of fact, probably back and forth, back and forth.
Yes, you do.
How clean is it? Does it look like it's been maintained as a door? I mean, is it?
Well, it looks more like a root cellar door.
Yeah. Okay.
Except that it's flat on the ground. So there's no angle like there would be with a house.
Right.
So it's definitely flat. I don't know how. I mean,
How big is the door?
it's probably about 4 feet high. Or I should say, not high, sorry. 4 feet long. It does look like there is a heavy hinge set at the top. So it looks like it opens just on a single hinge, a single big hinge. As almost as if it is a root cellar door.
Yeah.
I don't see anything else to it.
All right.
Open it up.
I'm gonna stand back.
You stand back?
Yeah, from when they open the door.
Okay.
Just because if there's some like wafting nast, I don't want to hurl all over the floor again.
You lift the door. When you lift the door, there is a exhale from the space below. The exhale is a coppery tinge to the already sulfurous air. What you see with the flash of your electric torches is a long, dark, cut staircase.
Like it was cut into stone?
No, this is mud.
Oh, mud. Okay.
This is mud, right? This is hardened mud.
Okay.
This is not prepared or hewn stone. Nothing like that. This is all
The
mud.
stairs are also mud?
There are some
Boards.
there are some boards that have been placed on top of them.
Ah, peg stairs.
Yep. Something you're probably very familiar with.
Oh, yes.
That doesn't
Either
seem
way.
very safe.
I will take the rear.
That leaves me sandwiched.
It does. Is anyone are you doing anything else while you're there, or are you just proceeding down?
Let's make sure that this door doesn't close behind us.
Miss O'Shea, give me a spot hidden roll.
Yes! 29.
Very
and
good.
I have a 31.
You see, check that box if it's not checked already.
Yes, it is.
Make sure you remember that for your skill rolls. What you see on the underside of this cellar door, for lack of a better term, are red and brown handprints.
Like they had pushed up against the door.
Almost as, and they're in a staccato fashion.
Okay.
And they're all over the bottom of this door. And they're not in any way in a pattern. They're not in a specific area.
Bottom, like you mean
Almost as if Somebody
underside?
was frantically trying to.
Yeah,
Get
that's what
out.
I'm saying. Like,
Or there were a lot of somebody's.
I mean, you can draw your own conclusions, obviously, but
but you're saying like all on the underside.
uh-huh.
Okay.
Allow me one moment before we do this.
And brown like mud or brown like dried blood?
That's a good question. I would ask you to make a medicine roll, but I don't know that she has it.
That would be no.
You can make an Eddie roll. That's fine.
Okay.
I'll give you an Eddie roll for it. It's reasonable.
Missed it by 7.
You're not really sure.
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
So I
but-
can guess any of
Either
it.
them is a possibility.
Yeah. Did he go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to go.
So that's what you see on the underside of the door. Now, what's the thought? Who's going down there?
I thought we already decided. Jake's going first.
Mm-hmm.
How big is it?
Well, the actual cut-in space is probably width-wise, it's probably 2 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Lengthwise, it's probably in between 3 to 4.
So in other words, bear walking.
Yeah, pretty much. And you're going to have to crouch for some of it to get down into the space. At least that's what it looks like.
I'll go first.
Okay. You head down.
Flashing the flashlight down, how far does it appear that we can see?
It goes beyond the range of your flashlight. Or your electric torch, as it were. A descent into the warm, muddy staircase transforms itself into high... It's a higher anxiety than you've had in some time. This plays out no more so than anyone than you, Mr. Forsyth.
Yes.
Each step becomes steeper. The air down here is strangely humid. It should not be. It should be cooler. And you see on the walls and on the floor here, this oily residue continues down the steps. It clings to your nostrils and begins to tap into the insides of your mouth. The earth swallows each one of your steps as you descend further and further down.
I'll make that sanity check.
You go right ahead, sir.
Claustrophobic?
That is a 65. My sanity is not a 65.
Okay. Yeah, you're at the back of the group.
Yep.
And you get to a point where
I don't want to go anymore.
You don't want to go down here. You
Nope.
can't. You don't feel like right now it's good.
No, it's not good. I think I need to go back.
Do you want to just watch and make sure we don't get trapped down here?
Yes. Yes, that would be best.
I'm assuming I can see the panic in his face.
Yeah. I don't think he's trying to pantomime any of that away.
No,
I think
I'm
it's
quite pale.
pretty evident that he's not in a good way.
Doyle probably can't see it.
Not unless he turns around.
Well, then why don't you wait up top and make sure nobody comes to get us and make sure we're not locked down here?
I will do that. Do I take any sanity damage for this, by the way?
No.
No?
Nope.
Just I can't go.
You just, at the moment, cannot go down there. Now, that might change if something presses you. But at that point, you would have to overcome your character's personal mental objection to being in tight spaces.
Yes.
It is quite a series of steps down for the two of you. Mr. Doyle, it's probably at least... It's more than 2 flights of stairs. It's fairly
Ways
deep.
down.
Yes, sir. It eventually spills out. It widens out into a landing area. And you see that there's been extensive digging that's been done down here. Extensive. There's at least at least in this space, there's at least a 8-foot ceiling. There's more than enough space for you to move around. You can see here the carved tunnel goes straight ahead for at least 10 or 15 feet. It seems to shoot off to the left a bit. And then you lose sight of what happens.
Continue plugging on.
It feels like another world. It feels like a totally different space than you were just in. The walls almost breathe with you. The feel of the mud beneath your feet and the smell of the sulfur in your mouth just consumes your senses.
Probably takes me back.
Unfortunately, yeah. Unfortunately, you feel so many feelings that you'd had during the war. As you continue left down this path, it seems to open up again into another space, another larger space. You see a bit of a rounded room that's been cut in here. And you see in this rounded room, there's a table, a long table. And on this long table, there seem to be 4 posts that rise up a bit. Almost as if it's a dining room table, except that the legs of that dining room table go up as well. There are iron rings on each one of these posts. And then tough, well-made rope that's on each one of these rings. You see the walls here as your electric torch flicks back and forth over them. You see that they're adorned with strange symbols and all manner of caricatures of beasts. There's almost a different pitch and tone to this room than any of the others you've been in. The walls here have been carved with a purpose. They're not irregular. They've been made in an exacting format.
And you said this room was round?
It's a bit round, yeah. Almost as if... It's not perfectly round.
Right.
It's almost oval.
Okay.
On top of this table, you see that there are papers laying here.
What's on the papers?
Would you care to see?
I would. I mean, I've already lost sanity, so...
I'm not taking the sand hit for this one.
Not until I show you, because we love sharing the misery. Oh, yes.
I can't read.
It's another one.
Actually, it's 2.
2.
So there are 2 pages here.
Nice. Cool. I think.
Mr. Forsyth, since you're up in the room, still trying to kind of bring yourself together,
Right.
why don't you give me a spot hidden roll?
Yes, sir. That's a 21 out of 34.
You're wandering a bit in the room, just trying to kind of pace yourself back.
Yeah, get my breathing under control.
Right. And tucked into a small corner of that seems to be several sheets of a working man's journal size paper. Relatively small. But they seem to have been tucked here, and they're out of place. They don't belong here.
Like they were shoved there in a hurry? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see those.
Yeah, that's something I want to see. Are these creatures also on the walls?
They are.
Okay.
So all of the symbols that you're seeing on the paper, especially the large, thick, black strokes of imagery and of icons, they're all displayed around here.
Okay.
And you need to make me a sanity roll.
Are you sure? I mean, I've already seen stuff like this.
I am sure, actually.
What is my sanity?
But you only have one sanity roll, even though there are 2 pages there. You have one.
What is my sanity? Not high. It is at
No, I'm kidding.
44. 31.
Very good.
I made it.
You do not lose any sanity. In fact,
What?
you realize after looking over the pages, and even though the imagery is horrific and the beings on them are totally alien to the entirety of humanity that you're aware of, you don't seem to be very distressed by it anymore.
That could be a good or a bad thing. We'll decide later. Are these... Oh, is there any serpents on the wall as well?
You're looking specifically for serpents? Mm-hmm. There are. So it's not in the traditional serpent that you would normally recognize as somebody who's been to school and studied books, but there are, in some of the imagery that you've seen before, you realize what the symbol they use for snake is, and it's suddenly all over the place in here. It's actually not so much that it's on display by itself. It's that it's been worked in to the imagery and the artistry of these pictures.
Okay. Does it look like the art is like displayed, or is it on the walls, or is it more like almost like pictographs, like it's telling a story, or like it's trying to show like a transformation, or I don't know, or some story of becoming, or like a creation, you know?
Given you have some basis of knowledge, go ahead and make me an occult roll to see if you can get the general gist of it. There is a second exit from this hallway too, just so you're aware, Mr. Doyle. There is a way out.
Okay.
Yes, 67, and I have a 75.
You begin to turn and walk among, kind of around the room a little bit. And you get to the point opposite where you came in at. And you realize the story of what goes on here actually starts here. And it seems to move to the left around the room.
Okay.
And the story, at least through the pictures and the glyphs that you can read and that you understand, tells the story of creation.
Okay.
And this story is that it's of a being that came from another place to inhabit the deep parts of the earth and to spring forth and give life to all manner of creatures. Highest above those creatures of any at the time were what you see as the imagery of snakes. And it actually shows through this pictograph the different types that this being created, the help and the assistance they've given to the world. It seems to project them as powerful creatures,
Okay.
almost in a rulership situation.
Okay. If you look at the art, have you noticed any of it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Well, if you move from this direction to this direction, it's showing the story of creation. Well, their story of creation. Showing that this creature came from somewhere else, created these serpents or snake-like creatures to maybe rule or be the most powerful, and then it made all of these other living things. That is what I've figured out so far. I'm just sharing it with another person. Sounds insane, I get it, but that's what they're showing. Now, what these posts and rings have to do, I don't know.
Looks like they had somebody tied up here or something tied up here.
Well, but there's 4 posts, and all of them have rings, right, with rope.
Keep in mind that the posts stand up off the table itself. The rings are attached to those posts, and attached to the rings are lengths of what almost look like sailing rope. So this is a heavy, heavy hemp rope.
The posts aren't in the middle of the table right there at the 4 corners.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And they're not a part of the table. They're separate?
No, they are a part of the table.
They are a part of the table. Is there anything carved into the table itself?
No, actually, the table space itself seems relatively benign. It seems like a heavy wood table, although there are stains on it.
Reddish stains.
Actually, there's all sorts of different colors. Browns, reds, maybe a trace of yellow, maybe?
How tall are the posts?
Oh, maybe 4 feet at most.
Oh, okay.
This is definitely a dining room table
Right.
height table. And the posts and the rings and the rope kind of evoke all sorts of unsettling feelings about what this table was used for.
Well, yeah, because you can think of all kinds of things. Because if it's at the 4 corners, the table would probably be about the length of an average person. This person could have been tied at all 4 corners on top of the table, or it could have been 4 separate people. Let's not get into this because we don't really know.
Right. It's supposition at this point.
Yeah.
Wonderful, beautiful, terrifying supposition. Yes, Mr. Forsyth, have you come across something?
Remind me again. The brick wall, the bricks that we saw,
Yes.
those are in the room with the tools and the wash basin? Or it's in this room with the cellar door?
The brick wall itself is in the... You're staring at the back side of the brick wall right now. So... the brick wall itself was the room that had the barrels in it.
So you wanted to go check out that brick wall, huh?
No.
I mean, you might slip in something.
It's possible.
I want to go back to the room with the barrels.
Okay. You go back to the room with the barrels?
I want to play my torch on the wall with the bricks.
What are you looking for?
Holes. Do I see any holes?
There are a few holes.
I immediately run back to the tunnel,
Okay.
to the cellar. I yell into the cellar as loud as I can.
What are you going to yell?
We have to go now.
Unfortunately, Mr. Doyle and Mr. Shea, you're a little too far down and away to hear him.
Yeah, because the mud's gonna...
Uh-huh.
But we had another door, right? You found...
They don't hear you, Mr. Forsyth.
I don't hear anything.
You don't hear anything back.
I have to go in. I have to go.
You're going to have to go in.
Yes, I'm going to have to go in. I
Okay.
don't want to go in, but...
So, I think it's important for you to decide whether or not you're going to go.
I have to go. I have to go get them.
So here's what I'd like you to do.
Yes.
I'd like you to make a pow roll. I would like you to exert your willpower
Mhm.
and force yourself to do something you don't want to do.
I rolled a 68 out of 40. I can't do it. I can't do it.
You teeter at the top of the stairs for a few moments. And what you have a flashback to is stuff falling on you. The heat of Central America.
Yes.
The voices, some in English and some in Spanish. And terrorizing sounds around you. Your heart palpitating up and down. And the desperate desire to not be buried alive.
I pull my gun.
Okay?
I pull my shotgun.
Okay.
I fire into the cellar.
Okay.
They may not hear my voice, but they'll certainly hear a gunshot.
You do. It would be very difficult to not hear a gunshot.
So we hear a gunshot?
You hear you probably have a better read on weaponry than she does, so you probably hear what sounds like a shotgun go off.
I was going to say, I was telling him what symbols are similar on the walls as to the papers and, you know.
Okay.
So we have to go.
Yeah, bang. Everybody downstairs spooked.
We gotta go.
Okay. Out this door? Up that door?
Up.
Up. Okay.
Okay. You guys race
Walk,
back along the mud floor, down the tunnel, back up to the stairway.
Mm-hmm.
You start coming up the stairs, and that's when you realize how many actual stairs there are. When you race up several flights of stairs, you begin to see the pale red glow that's present in that room. You start seeing them emerge from the bottom, because I'm assuming that you
Yes.
shotgun in one hand, torch in
Yes.
the other.
Yes.
Yeah, you start seeing them come up.
We have to go.
Why? There's somebody.
Do you value your life? Go.
Yeah, but what's going on?
We can talk later.
It's okay.
I grab them. I physically grab them as they get close to the stairs.
Okay.
And when they're both up here, I, shotgun in hand, do not look at the wall. I'm panicked. I'm a very large man, and I'm panicking right now with a shotgun.
So, Jake, does Doyle have any psychology?
He does,
Yes,
actually.
yes.
Go ahead and give me a roll.
Psychology, I do not have.
No.
Okay. While you can't necessarily ascertain exactly what Mr. Forsyth is on about, you can tell that he's definitely panicked. And he's a panicked man with a shotgun. So,
That's not good.
take it for what you will, but it is the truth. He's a panicked man with a shotgun.
You lead the way. I don't want him behind me.
Okay, so where are you going?
Right out the front door.
Okay, you go right out the front door.
I go through the door. I make sure to pointedly point my shotgun at the door in the room with the barrels.
Okay.
And not the door, the wall.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I literally say no
Okay.
as I...
Oh, we gotta grab that phone,
You
right?
get outside.
Yes.
Where are you going?
We're
Gonna
grabbing
grab
the
that
record
first.
on the way
You
out.
grab the record, okay. Where are you going?
I'm going back to my car.
Okay.
This is a blind panic right now. I do not want any part of any of this right now. I especially do not want to go down in there with that.
Okay.
When I finally stop running,
So just question, are the two of you following him the whole way?
No.
Once we get outside, I'm like, what the hell?
Right, exactly. I'm going to slow down and be like, what is...
lock that door.
What is... explain to us what's going on. Is there somebody here?
There's something in there.
Something in there.
I suggest we leave at all possible speed.
He shoves several small papers in your direction.
Okay.
You haven't seen these papers before.
I am keeping my shotgun pointed at the door. Very pointedly.
I could summarize them if you'd like.
We want to, otherwise.
So the notes here detail more of a working man's diary on a test being done on humans. An attempt to get them to talk to something
In the wall. Behind the wall.
Behind the brick wall?
Behind the brick wall.
not exactly.
Well, that's what I took from it.
Right.
If I, in my panic, made a misestimation.
It's quite possible you may have.
Yes.
But it does seem like whoever wrote this, by the way, Miss O'Shea recognizes the handwriting immediately. This is Jonathan Swift's handwriting. It does
and
seem...
he's talking about Grace Holden.
Mm-hmm.
And Stanley. The Massasauga is behind the wall. That wall has holes in it.
Holes in it.
The holes
What
that you
have
saw
we
in
seen?
the holes you saw in the brick wall are no more than pinky width.
That's fine.
Just for clarity.
All I'm saying is that Miss O'Shea showed us a document talking about snakes.
That's true.
Strange beings that granted powers to people in return for worship. Swift says they're behind the wall. There is a wall. There are holes in that wall. I fear what is behind that wall.
I don't necessarily think it was behind the wall. It kind of seems like the wall itself is what they're talking about. I don't.
It also says that Grace actually is Masaga.
Men from the East, though.
The orderlies.
Well, yeah, I get that. He said that they would, but where did these men from the East originally come from?
A great question which we never asked.
That is true. So, we're going to pause there for the evening, and we'll pick it up next session with the aftermath of your first foray into a very strange building. All right?